So hitting the recording. So with this being said, again, hello. If you don't mind, please use the chat feature because we'd like to see a little bit more about who's in the room. So if you don't mind sharing with us, like your name, your role, your institution, and very quickly about like what excites you about this particular project. Like, why are you joining this webinar? Again, Friday afternoon or Friday morning, late morning. I'm sure that you have a lot of the work. So why take the time to join us today? We're very happy about it. But if you don't mind sharing a little bit more about your the reason why you're in this webinar, we would appreciate this. And I may, Lily, may call on some people to share a little bit more with this. So I may share with Lily first to share. But I may call on other brave souls here. So thank you from University of Kentucky. And Lily, while we wait for other folks to enter the chat, do you mind sharing a little bit more about you, your organization, and why you're interested in this project?
Absolutely. Thank you, Nicholas. Hi, everyone. I'm Lily Massa-McKinley. I'm the Executive Director for the Kentucky Student Success Collaborative, which is a new initiative through CPE to hopefully bring best practices and support, backbone support to our campus partners along the priorities that you all have, as well as the ongoing work that you're doing around student success. So we are a resource for you, and we were very excited. I mean, I've been in this role about 2 months now, so we're really just getting off the ground. October 25th is our launch event, which we do hope that you can join us. You are our campus partners and our stakeholders in this work. It'll be at 9 a.m. Live streamed through CPE, and just working with Complete College America on this Purpose First initiative is a wonderful example, and I think a kickoff to the work that we hope to do with all of you. So. My most recent background is working in career development, and so I really understand the essential role that career conversations really play with students from their very first day, even as they're considering what college to attend, obviously through their success after graduation. So I'm excited to be able to be a part of Purpose First and work with Complete College America to support you in the work that you have going on.
Thank you, Lily. Do I have another brave volunteer who likes to unmute and share?
Hi. Bill Stallman at University of the Cumberlands. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. I'm Bill Stallman, University of the Cumberlands, Vice President of Development. We're very excited about this opportunity. We will be opening a brand new state-of-the-art Student Success Center that we've put $2.5 million into, hopefully within the next 4 weeks. It could be a little sooner than that. It'll house all of our student success coordinators, tutoring, testing center, certification center, and many other things. So we're excited. Then our academia side has been at student success for a while, and it's very, very important to the future students of University of the Cumberlands.
Excellent. So thank you for joining us. We're happy about that. So let me get started because I don't want to, just take all the time to talk about introductions. I want to get to the actual project here. So hopefully you're able to see my screen right now. Can I see a thumbs up? Yes. Perfect. Thank you. So again, happy from Complete College America and Lumina. Unfortunately, one of my colleagues is unable to join me today, but I'd like to just talk a little bit more about Complete College America for those who may not be as familiar with the organization as others. So CCA, we are a nonprofit organization, and as the name implies, we are focused very much on, obviously, college completion, particularly and especially with a focus on minoritized students and on institutions that may have been, because of size, location, type, and may have been left behind of the college completion movement, under resourced or so on. So we want to make sure that our institutions get the best support that they need, especially because a lot of those institutions actually support a lot of students. So when we're talking about purpose, when we're talking about student success, when we're talking about achievement at the state level, we want to make sure that obviously all of the students are able to be successful and receive the resources that they need to be successful. And that means obviously that we need to support these institutions. So we are led by Dr. Yolanda Watson-Spiva, who you see here. She is HBCU alum. She has a wealth of experience at institutional level, at nonprofit, as well as working in the Department of Education at the federal level. And her focus is very much around around equity and social justice. So that works, definitely drives us as we're working in CCA. All of our staff have experience at the institutional level. So we've worked at the 2-year, 4-year, public, private, HBCU, HSI, PBI, PWI, Research One, liberal arts, you name it, we basically have done it. So we were in your shoes. We've been, administration, faculty, staff members. So we definitely understand, and we bring that perspective to our work as well. So we want to make sure that you understand where we're coming from. It comes from our personal experience as well as the shared experience of not just our staff, but our colleagues across the Alliance. We are bold advocates. So I think we've definitely, through our publications and advocacy work in the past, we've definitely moved the needle, if you will, from simply focusing on access to also adding the success piece. So we want to make sure that once we bring the students on campus, we we just don't leave it to their own devices. We need to actually, and by we I mean institutions, we need to do everything we can to actually support their success and help them progress towards their degree. So a lot of our publications and work that has been since our creation or the beginning of CCA about 11 years ago has definitely been focused on our success. And some of these publications that you see on the screen right now are the ones that have changed, I'll say, the discourse really. And you should be able to see a number of additional publications coming up around equity, around data, around policy, and co-requisite also coming up by the end of this year. Our mission is, as you can see, not only increasing college completion, but closing institutional performance gaps. And that's something that I would really emphasize, again, that we are mindful about how we use institutional performance gaps. And I think that usually you hear equity gaps or achievement gaps, and that really, really puts, the entire onus and responsibility on the student. By really rethinking about how we actually support our students, we need to put the responsibility on the institution. So looking at the policies and practices and processes, we need to look at how these actually impact our students, and in some cases, hinder student success and student completion. So we're very much dedicated to institutional performance and institutional transformation to the benefit of all of our students. As I mentioned earlier, we are an alliance of states and consortium. So as you see, Kentucky is one of them. So we love to, we want to make sure that the learnings that happen in one part of the country and one part of Alliance is being shared with others. Higher education tend to operate very much in silos. So we want to disrupt that. We want to make sure that the learnings and the wins, and the successes that are happening at one institution, one state, one systems are being shared across so that they can be replicated. Again, it is to the benefit of the students if we do actually, cooperate and communicate. So, and that's pretty much how we're going to operate with this particular project as well. So during this project, we will be bringing content experts from all across the Alliance, folks who are at institutions similar to yours, who have already implemented these particular strategies, who have worked on policies, who can tell you a little bit more about what data is more beneficial to to pull, to share across the institution, to make the case, who needs to be at the table to really plan and implement, what are the potential roadblocks or potential barriers that happen during the implementation. So we want to make sure that there is clear communication, not just within the state and within the participating institution, but that we bring the others, other folks and other experts across the alliance. And I'd be remiss if, by the way, I didn't mention that after the press release of CCA partnering with Kentucky on Purpose First, we had a number of calls. People who reach out to us to CCA is like, how can I get in on this? Like, how can I replicate this at my state? And literally an hour ago, I was on a call with a different state to talk specifically about that. So I think the way I'm really looking at this is this project will really solidify Kentucky as the leader in the connection of like how to support students to onboard into pathways that align with their careers and their interests, but also connecting with competencies and skills as well. So I definitely see this as a great opportunity for Kentucky to become the leader, and for all of you on the calls and at the institutional level to become the content experts that we bring in to those other projects as we work on implementing Purpose Source across the country. The way we work really are through three prongs, if you will, like policy, perspective, and practice. And the perspective, we really talk about the data, talk about communication, and how do we make the case and create the conditions to change, and for the institutions to actually be able to implement the strategy at scale. So again, the practice comes in with the strategies, the implementation plan, and really the communication within the institution. We are not big fans of pilots. So when we talk about implementation, we're talking about implementation at scale and with fidelity. So we want to make sure that everybody is on board and everybody is aware of the transformation that's happening at the institution for the benefit of the students. And the policy, to me, I think is something that's quite interesting and quite exciting, because honestly, a lot of the practices tend to be at the institutional level or at the individual level, really, or in some cases at some departments where one person is a key leader, is responsible for that particular initiative or process. And if that person leaves, then unfortunately, the practice and that those efforts tend to go by the wayside. So the policy is a great opportunity to really, again, build those processes and those practices into the culture of the institution, so that even if someone were to leave, it's built in the culture and is going to continue, and all the students really are going to continue to benefit from those particular practices. So all of these to the benefit of college completion. And again, we are big believers in the promise of higher education and how it does contribute to economic opportunity, social mobility, and racial justice. So this is why really we are moving forward for this particular work. So with this, yielding the floor to my colleague, Dr. Haywood.
Good morning, everyone. I almost said afternoon because I think I'm maybe 1 hour ahead of you all. Well, thank you for having me, Nicholas, and great to see all of you today. I'm just going to speak for a few minutes and talk about why Lumina Foundation is interested in this work and why we've partnered with CCA and Nicholas and Mia and their team on this work. So my name is Jasmine Haywood. This work is co-funded internally between my portfolio. I'm the strategy director for student success. So I lead funding, grant making within the four-year sector. And my colleague Kermit is leading this work with me. And he leads the employer-aligned credentials work within the two-year sector. You can go ahead to the next slide. Thank you. So Lumina is unique in that we are a philanthropic organization that we exclusively focus on post-secondary education, and we have this time-limited quantifiable goal, which I'm sure many of you have heard about, That goal is to increase the proportion of Americans that have high quality degrees or credentials by 60% to 60% by 2025. And so we've been making some progress over the years. This goal haunts us on a daily basis because 2025 feels like it's tomorrow, especially in this little time warp that we've lived in the past 19 months. And as part of that goal, one of the things that the data shows us is that 90 million adults over the age of 25 have no credential beyond a high school diploma. And of those 90 million, 36 million of them have some college, but no degree. And so that being said, our goal is to, work to reduce those numbers so that there are more people in the U.S. that have quality degrees and quality credentials as well. Okay, and so how are we going to do that? What is our work? Our work is really focused on seeking a system that delivers quality learning that is in support of economic opportunity and racial justice. And so that being said, we have a strong commitment to supporting strategies that put racial justice and equity first and center those approaches. And we also look forward to a future where a broad and diverse pool of talent is fueling a stronger and more socially just nation. So that those are kind of the three pillars of our work, and they lay the foundation for all of the strategies that we fund at Lumina Foundation. And so what do I mean by quality? I've used that word a couple of times in referring to credentials. So a few years ago, we convened over the course of a year or so, a group of experts to answer the question of what comprises a quality post-secondary credential. And what came out of that is a very long report, but this model here kind of sums it up. So we've developed this model that maps from the individual to societal outcomes. And we know that quality credentials can produce back to the intentional program design and student-centered policies and practices that assure that the system can actually produce these outcomes. And so these are some of the things that we look for when we're talking about quality credentials. And embedded through all of that is equity, as I mentioned earlier. We view equity as inherent to quality, and you can't have one without the other. And so as Nicholas is advancing to the next slide, I'm actually going to put in the chat the link to that report I mentioned, if anyone is interested in checking that out. And so how are we going to get there to our big goal? These are our smaller goals to get to the big goal. So 2.6 million short-term credentials by 2025, 3.3 million associate's degrees, and 1 million bachelor's degrees. That is what we need to get to our goal by 2025. And really with the data lag, we need this kind of by 2024, actually. And so our work is organized in the following way. We focus on expanding employment-aligned credentials, increasing participation or enrollment, and scaling student success. And where purpose first comes in is really that first and third one on the slide here. We think it's very important that students begin with the end in mind, that they know how the curriculum will lead to a potential employment opportunity and a career pathway, and they're not feeling disconnected, accumulating excess credits, or not seeing how their coursework aligns to potential careers. And so that is why we're interested in Purpose First, and are very excited to be working with Nicholas and Nia on this work. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nicholas, who's going to dive a little bit more into the details of this work that we hope to do with you all.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Jasmine. Much appreciated. So, why Purpose First? I think that Dr. Haywood mentioned it. I mean, like the 36 million Americans with some college no degree, with the need for our students and our population to gain those credits, then those credentials really of value to get in the workforce and economic prosperity and recovery. So we want to make sure that purpose is there. The one thing I have to say that excuse me, that higher education is very good at mandating a lot of things. I think we're big on bureaucracy, we're big on processes and forms and so on and so forth. But for some reason, we're not doing a very good job of helping students actually choose a major or program of study. We kind of leave it up, like throw our hands in the air, like you pick. It doesn't matter so much, like leave it up to you. The problem is that a lot of students make uninformed and incomplete decisions about why they want to pursue a particular major, and there are real implications of that in terms of time, money, and just the swirling aspect of it, of students who who cannot find why they're in college and what their purpose is, and the potential career that really interests them, and that only contributes to them dropping out and accumulating more debt and so on and so forth. So we want to make sure that with Purpose that we create structures and we create support for our students so that we actually become partners with our students to actively engage in their exploration of majors and provide them with the information that is relevant for them so that they make informed decisions about their program of study that actually aligns with their interests and their career goals. And as you see, to me, that's something that I always want to stress, is that students who actually understand the purpose and the relevance of their courses tend to see more value, understand the value of higher education. So I think that the conversation about why you're taking this particular course and how is this course in terms of the content, in terms of the skills and competencies that you're learning in that course, how is that actually helping you with the potential careers moving forward? That to me, I think, is a huge factor in the success of our students. So why are we not being explicit about this? So again, we need to help our students make those decisions, and that's what really Purpose First is about. And again, our students are coming to college for a job. Let's make sure that we actually address that fact and support them in their journey. One thing that I want to emphasize also is how Black and Latinx tend to be underrepresented in fastest growing occupations, and if you were to look at how many of the demographics of your majors, that's something that we need to start exploring. Where are the inequities in terms of participation? And it's not just for Black and Latinx. I mean, I think that once you look at rural students, you're going to see also a big disparity, and something in some parts of Kentucky, that's something that might be exacerbated. So those are things that we need to address early on to make sure that we support our students in towards successful completion of college, but also beyond the obtention of the degree. So this project really will have excuse me, 4 particular goals, and that's something that before I get started on those 4 goals, I want to make sure that it's clear that a lot of you are already doing some of this work. So what we want to do with CCA and working with you and with CPE is really enhancing and complementing your current efforts. We don't want to see this, for you to see this as, this is just one more initiative that I have to put on my plate. This is going to be like, a big lift and so on and so forth. We're going to work with you to ideally coalesce a lot of those efforts that are, like I said, a lot of happening in silos and working towards one particular goal. So again, you're already doing this. CP is already working on a lot of these efforts as well. So how can we coalesce these into one initiative, bring the folks who are working across your campus on these different initiatives and working together for, again, for the benefit of our students. So the first one is going to be, transforming advising and onboarding. And again, we want to make sure that you understand that by onboarding, we're not only talking about admissions and orientation, but also talking about the first year experience course, talking about admission or academic advising rather, and the connection between academic advising and career counseling. What type of collaboration is happening between those two offices? How do we make sure that the information is not just made available, but where students are actively engaged, where we as institutions actively engage the students in different activities for them to start exploring and use that particular information. I think that working with different institutions, I see it all the time where institutions are like, well, we have this great website that has lists all these things. Like, great. What are you doing for the students to actually make them use it and engage with this and use it in activities and FYE courses and so on and so forth? And there's silence. So we need to create structures, like I said, and rethink about how we, bring students on board into the right pathways, but also actively engage them in the exploratory process for them to do this. The second is, strength employee engagement. So we do need to talk about obviously the role that employers, local and regional employers, play in pursuing the degree. So we want to make sure that there's a clear communication between higher education and the employer and the workforce to identify the competencies that are required to or preferred, to talk about what are the jobs available in the region and connect these particular job opportunities with programs of study and majors that actually lead to these jobs. And in some cases, we really need to talk about disseminating the information that one major does not equal one job. I'm an English major, and I'm sure that a lot of you on the call may be from humanities as well. And I think that there's a lot of
Hi, Christian. It's Katie. 12:30.
Yes.
I met this morning with Aaron Kramer for a few minutes to give him kind of a high-level overview of where we are on this non-compliance. And one thing that struck me was that he did not seem to understand that once we put faculty on an admin no pay status, that we also advance statements of.
I don't think that was related to us. So sorry. So if you do have a question, please unmute. I want to make sure that that may not be relevant quite yet for this purpose. Although, if it is connected, I'm more happy to talk to you about that after this. So the employer engagement is something that we want to emphasize a little bit more. The connect competencies. So I know that CPE has already started some of the work around the competencies and identifying them and how we can potentially integrate them into the curriculum. So how do we, supplement and complement the work that's already going at CPE, but also encourage institutions to create those maps where we do talk about career information, where we talk about why students should be excited about this. What are you going to expect to learn? What are the other opportunities on campus as you're pursuing your particular degree that can make you more marketable, that can make you a better learner, a better student as you are progressing in your credential and things like that. So I'm a big fan of degree maps again. So we will be talking a lot about degree maps or career pathways, making sure that it's not simply a list of courses, but everything else that goes along with it and that is clearly communicated with the students. And again, that there's a clear connection so that students understand the competencies that they're learning as they're progressing towards their degree so that they can share it with their with the employers as well, so that a student is not just saying, I've taken these particular courses. which may not be particularly helpful, as opposed to I've learned these particular skills and these competencies, I've applied these skills in this way, and so on. To me, that makes it, and that's why I'm a particular good candidate for this particular job, as you're looking for these competencies in your job. So how do we help our students become more marketable, more knowledgeable about their progress and the process and the purpose, again, behind the courses and their degrees? And finally, as we're talking about the policy as well, so how do we review some of the policies at the state and at the institutional level to make sure that they are aligned with also the career pathways and the academic and workforce connection, so that there is clear and that there is, in some cases, incentives for institutions to actually create those connections, and for students, in some cases, financial aid or scholarships, to actually undertake particular majors that may be to their benefits and to the benefits of the region and the state overall. So the project is a 2-year project. It is phased, again, really want to emphasize that, is to complement your existing efforts. We are looking to recruit at least 8 institutions. We are interested in 2 years and 4 years. So that's something that I really want to emphasize. We want institutions from all over the states, but all different types as well. We also want to create communities of practice. So I already talked about how the Alliance is going to be involved in this, about bringing the content experts and share their practices and expertise and so on and so forth, but also want that communication to happen at the institutional level and within the state as well. So, we want to make sure that if Bluegrass has an amazing opportunity, as like a great practice to connect with employers, that those practices are shared with Madisonville or with Eastern Kentucky and so on and so forth. So, there shouldn't be silos about those best practices and those ideas. So how do we create the shared learning and communication and collaboration within the states, within the participating institutions? And as we move forward, again, towards the different projects and the different strategies, moving forward and helping each other. And we will be supporting students and institutions rather in the within the learning management system to help with that communication, but also with sharing the resources. So CCA has a lot of resources associated with these strategies, and we'll make it available to the institutional teams within the LMS for this. So the next step, fairly simple, honestly. It is completing the application. The application, I want to make to reassure you, it is a fairly simple one. It's not a big, it's not a heavy lift. You'll see, I think, once you click on the link, and again, the link is here. I'll share it in a future email, and you'll be able to see it on the website as well. In the application process, we're also asking you to identify an institutional lead. So that person will be the main point of contact with CCA, but also is going to help coordinate the different efforts through the institutional team. So we also want to folks to identify who by roles, by offices, who needs to be involved for the planning and implementation of the different strategies at the institution. So the institutional lead will help coordinate the different efforts, the communication with CCA, with CPE, and just work the and support the, like I said, the implementation and planning of the project. And finally is to commit. We want to make sure that you understand that this, what you're doing is for the benefit of students. So and your students and your institution. So we want to make sure that once you complete the application process, you understand that you're we want you to be actively participating in the process, and we will do everything we can to support your efforts and providing the resources and the expertise and the information to help you move forward. If you haven't done so already, please create a profile on our website. It is free. We do not inundate you with spam, and we don't crowd your inbox by any means. But it's a great opportunity for you to access different resources and publication, look at or consult different webinars or podcasts that we have on our website, as well as to connect with different colleagues across the country who may be in the same position, may in the same role, who are also implementing or have implemented different strategies that you are concerned with as well. So please complete a profile. Like I said, it is free. So with this, let me just stop sharing for a second so we can see each other. So I saw a couple of questions. The requirements for participation, your commitment. That is basically the requirement. You must be a 2-year, you must be or a 4-year institution within the state of Kentucky. So that is where at this point we're limiting this project within the confines of the state. 2 years or 4 years, public or private. We again, for you to identify an institutional lead, we want to make sure that either your president or chancellor is aware, obviously, of this and is committed to the effort. And right now, there will be some participation also around or requirement around data. And that's something that we will be working also with CPE. We had a meeting with them yesterday about different data metrics that we need to for you to start exploring and start reporting on. But that's something that we can share a little bit later on. But right now, I think most of your institutions are participating in a PDP. So most of the information that we are talking about will be already collected within the PDP.
Thank you. Can I? Yes,
Yes,
I was
yes.
the one actually who asked that question, and the last point you talked to, you mentioned was one of the reasons why I was asking in terms of you know, what do we need to do? Let's say if we're participating in terms of providing data, what type of data, and if there's have been discussions about what format, what timeline that would involve. But also just to raise the point of, you know, a lot of the institutions here, you mentioned the PP, we're participating in the PDP. So that requires also providing data through that consortium or whatever we call it. Have there been conversations to see if maybe the data that's already being provided to by CPE for the PDP is something that could just be used for this?
Yes.
Or that's what I think would be very helpful, at least for us.
Yes. So I think that we're so the meeting yesterday we had with folks from CP around center exactly about the data. So we do want to make sure that it is not a heavy lift. Also on your end at the institutional level, if the data that is already being collected by CPE or for the PDP can be used for this. There are, I'll be honest with you, there are some metrics that may not already be collected. So for example, I'd be interested to hear and to see the demographics of your different majors and different programs of study. I'd be interested in knowing also how often do students, also disaggregated, change majors and change programs of study at your institution. So that is not currently collected in a PDP or by CPE, I don't believe, but that's something that I think the conversation that we would have during the process, because that's something that we, you know, I think that data can actually unearth some, you know, can lead some good discussion at the institution as to like, why is it? Why are these inequities? Why are so many, you know, Black students leave this particular major? Let's talk about that. So I think that we want to make sure that there's data sets, you know, that the metric is being collected. The vast majority will already be collected. There might be some cases like those two. I think those two particular example made this, you know, lead to different discussions at the institutional level, and that's maybe something that partnering with CPE may lead for them to also ask for that information. And I saw a comment, yes, about Georgia State and stepping blocks. I was, prior to joining CCA, I was at Georgia State, and I still have a very good colleague. I used to oversee first year experience and first year programs at Georgia State, 2 years and 4 years. So I noticed the stepping blocks example. I think it's a great opportunity, a great way to actually embed some of the competencies and skills within the syllabus and the curriculum. So we can definitely bring my colleague Angela to act as a content expert for this one here. Any other questions or comments?
Bill Stallman at University of the Cumberlands. Is there any type of financial commitment from the university to the program, or is there any thing that we would expect to receive back financially if chosen?
So there are no financial commitment from the institution. We will be providing the content expert. I mean, there is time commitment, obviously. So we want to make sure that the institutional lead and the folks within the institutional team, I'm talking about like, academic advising, career counseling, registrars, financial aid, orientation, student affairs, may be involved in this, and faculty obviously will be represented. So there's obviously time commitment from the different individuals, but there's no financial commitment that the institution must provide in order to participate in this. There will be opportunities for CCA. Again, that's something that we'd have to look at either for additional support. So if an institution is not currently, for example, on the PDP, there might be opportunities for us to spend a little bit more time working on around the data capability and capacity with the institution. So in that case, we would provide that support, that additional support to make sure that you have all you need to participate in this particular project.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So with this, I saw that Lily mentioned the deadline to submit is October 29th. Like I said, I will be posting the recording on our website, and let me repost the URL where you will be able to access the recording, but also where you can also see the link to apply. Maybe more of a bit more of a summary and the goals of the different projects. In the meantime, I also want to put my email address. So if you do have any questions associated with the project, please let me know between now and October 29th. If you have any questions around the application, around the goals, the different activities that are going to be connected. Like I said, this is not meant to be in addition to everything that you're doing, but how can we complement and supplement, your current efforts at your institutions to best embed career information and career exploration at the institution from onboarding and ideally throughout the entire progression of the student, throughout the duration of the degrees. So if there are no more questions currently, or you prefer not to post them in the chat or unmute yourself, I will say thank you very much for your attendance. It is much appreciated. I'll speak on my behalf, but also on behalf of CCA. We're very excited to be in Kentucky again. We're really excited to partner with your institution, with CPE, and with the with Lily's new office that coming up on that you'll see in 10 days, the official launch that I'm really excited about attending as well. So we're really happy to be in Kentucky again. Really happy to partner with your organizations and your institutions. So with this, thank you very much. Have a great rest of the day. Have a great weekend, and feel free to reach out if you have any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you.